What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner. And I'm back. I'm back to talk about what took place over the weekend when our border control had to use tear gas to stop a whole bunch of imaginary immigrants, illegal immigrants rushing the border. I mean, that's amazing how you needed tear gas to use against your own imagination. Because obviously, according to the liberal media, that these people, they didn't exist. They were all a figment of our imagination. It wasn't a caravan, and they're not violent. No, not at all. These are all peaceful woodland creatures that somehow their ghost or their shadows perhaps rushed the border. Now, of course, we know since the liberal media and the Democrats have invested so much time and energy promoting illegal immigration and have been such a proponent to encourage this type of behavior, they couldn't just call it for what it is, an invasion and a violation of our sovereignty and our immigration policies. No, they had to point out the fact that they snapped a picture of one mother running with her two children away from the tear gas. And all of a sudden, this is what America is about now? This tear gassing kids and mothers? This is horrible. This is horrible. Now, we all know what's going to happen. They'll take that one picture and they'll plaster it all over the place and use that as their poster child to say, look at this. This is what Trump is encouraging. But they won't mention that Obama did it in 2013. They won't mention that. We don't want to make those comparisons. Why bring up Obama? He's not the president. He's not. Trump's the president right now. So just because he did the exact same thing that Trump did and we didn't say anything, doesn't mean we don't have the right to say something about Trump doing the exact same thing that Obama did. So you can't make those comparisons. You can't draw those, okay? That's in the past. Yeah, they won't talk about that. They probably won't tell you how witnesses say that they made sure all of these peaceful protesters, these peaceful migrants, made sure that the women and children, the small amount of them compared to mostly men, because I got a post on my Facebook page from a lady from Honduras and said that there are entities that promoted this, paid them, encouraged them to make this journey. People sold their houses. People bought into this pipe dream that they can just come to America and violate our laws. And the ones that return back to no house, their promises weren't fulfilled. And the lady who put the post from Honduras said the majority that's still left are all men, and Donald Trump was right about there being gang members and violent criminals in this group. She said that he's not even close to the number of gang members and violent people in that group. It's way more than what he thought. So this is somebody from Honduras. She said things were fine there, but somebody came down there and encouraged these people to do that. Now you have them using kids and women, throwing them right up front so that one, optics, it looks like the children and the women are being attacked by border control, just trying to do their job. Nobody wants to even point out the fact that you said, get out there. Let's throw them out there. And so then when the tear gas comes, then, somebody will snap one picture of the one or two women in the crowd, couple kids, and then they'll just say, look at this. They're targeting women and babies. Forget about the 99% of the war-age men that's throwing rocks, or those aren't rocks, actually. Those were sponges. Those are sponges, according to the media, because one of the people on, I think it was MSNBC, even questioned whether the Border Patrol was telling the truth about these projectiles that were being launched at them. So maybe they were sponges. Maybe they were paper mache rocks. They weren't real. Maybe it was all of those imaginary immigrants that the Border Patrol had to use tear gas against. Who knows? But anyway, nonetheless, so the biggest problem is not, and everybody's focused. Everybody's focused on what Trump's doing. They're focused on the poor immigrants that they just want a better life. And what about the children and the women? They're all focused. But nobody's focused on whoever encouraged this migration. See, I was doing some deductive reasoning. I was thinking to myself. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I take a walk through my own mind and I say, let me use some common sense to come to a conclusion, which seems to be a shortage right now in America for all the people arguing for this. But Common sense should tell you this, okay? Now, you leave Honduras, okay? People say, well, they were in a horrible situation. Your life was in danger from the gang violence. You're fleeing for your life. You want your children to have a better life. This is life or death. Got to go. Now, you could stay in Honduras and take the chance with the so-called gang violence and all of that stuff, or you could flee to certain death, knowing that a trip that takes about 2,000 miles to complete would ensure you and your family or children dying somewhere along that path with no resources. So then you have to conclude, if people aren't suicidal, if people aren't saying, yeah, it might be bad here, but the alternative is certain death if I do this, because let's be honest, if you are a poor immigrant and you decide, I'm just going to get in a group of about 6,000 or 7,000 people and we're just going to take off with no guarantees, no resources or nothing. What you're doing is saying, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go and wander off into the middle of nowhere and die of starvation, exposure, and thirst. That's what we're going to do. Unless somebody said we will supply those resources along the way. So now nobody's inquiring about that. You're telling me all these people were that proficient, that resourceful to gather up all these resources along the way for thousands of miles. Nobody died along the trip. Nobody starved. Nobody decided, you know what? When that old lady over there kicks the bucket, we're going to have to eat her because we're in the middle of the desert and there's no other place to eat. Yeah. I got a gut feeling there are people behind this. And those are the people responsible for this. So now, yeah, you got all the liberals and the media got everybody focused on the people running from the tear gas. Nobody's focused on the fact that you brought your kid all the way from Honduras and stuck them right there in Tijuana and put them right smack dab in the middle of all this chaos when the president told you before you left, don't do it. Don't you keep coming. Y'all ain't getting in. But you decided because of whoever was in your ear saying, it's okay, go. He's just bluffing. No, they're going to let you. Trust me. We've done this before. You know, nobody's going to. We'll run interference and get you in. So nobody is holding these people accountable. So really, it comes down to this. It's sad that the people from Honduras is a victim of this type of political manipulation. Let me move over a little bit. This political manipulation. But you know why they are able to do this type of political manipulation? Because of people like I'm about to show you. Geraldo, who is a bleeding heart liberal Republican. Okay? Now, Geraldo, this is what blows my mind. The man has been in the military. I saw Geraldo use those hands when he had the Geraldo show. He got skills. And I'm saying, Geraldo, I thought you was built a little tougher. I really did. But you allowed yourself to succumb to the liberal media manipulation. So nonetheless, this is his response today on the 5. Let's check it out.
Nobody's coming into our country unless they come in illegally.
Absolutely.
The president will be speaking at a rally in Mississippi this hour, and we're going to be monitoring it, and we'll bring you the latest.
So let's hear what
Geraldo,
Geraldo
on the tear gas situation, everybody is showing in the mainstream media this one image of the mom and the young girl fleeing. But what they're not showing is that they're surrounded by almost all men who had been, violently attacking and throwing things and taunting the Border Patrol. Do you think...
My father, being old and decrepit, he still has an actual phone. Sometimes it rings and I don't even know what it is. I'm like, what is that? Is that a phone? Aren't those extinct? Give me a second. All right, so picking up where I left off before the phone call so rudely interrupted me, getting back to Geraldo Rivera, which I thought was built a little more forward tough and would be able to look at this from a non-emotional standpoint, but apparently he's not. So let's get his feelings. Let's get his feelings on this. Look at the emotional reaction that he has over this.
Because it's far too important. With all due respect, Jesse, this is something that goes to the very quick. This goes to my soul.
Right. But that's how the audience is
fulfilling my role as this designated pinata on Fox News. I want to say
that's racist.
I am ashamed. This tear gas choked me. We treat these people, these economic refugees, as if they're zombies from The Walking Dead. I think.
Now, You know what I don't understand about that whole statement? First of all, he said he's the designated pinata on Fox News. Now, here's my point. Last I checked, you said you were a registered Republican, but he does fall under the category of a very liberal Republican when it comes down to certain things. But if you respond and make sense in your argument, nobody's going to attack you. See, the thing about conservatives is that we're not going to attack you just for, party's sake or conservative sake or just to hold on to our narrative, but we will attack stupidity. We will attack nonsense. We will attack foolishness. So if that's the case, then you are pinata if you're going to bring some type of nonsense to the argument, which he does. Now, he also goes into saying that this reaches his core. He can smell all of the tear gas from where he's sitting, I guess. And he said, we're treating these people like zombies. Now, I'm looking at this, okay? And according to this video, if you ever watch like Z Nation, Z World or whatever, or some zombie movies, and you see all the zombies rushing it's kind of like they're doing that right now. So nobody is controlling these people. Nobody's saying, hey guys, here's your chance, rush the border, and you don't have a choice. They decided to rush the border. The Border Patrol, Geraldo, is doing their job. What do you expect the Border Patrol to do? Just move aside. Like, you know what, since they threw a couple women and a couple babies up in the front, we just got to go ahead and move aside and let them just come on across the border and have their way. So we can encourage others to do exactly the same. Maybe they figured it out. Maybe they said, you know what? If we use women and children as human shields, we can have our way. Because guess what? The optics of shooting tear gas into a crowd with one or two women and children is going to look so bad, and our buddies in the media is going to pump that up and run it 24/7 and make it look like that the masses are all women and children, and the mean old Border Patrol over there getting their orders from Donald Trump is saying, what? They're women and children good. That's how I like it. Go ahead and gas all of them. Yeah. Operation Tear Gas Go. No, these are people who made a choice to rush towards the border and start throwing stuff. Unfortunately, Geraldo, the Border Patrol didn't have a chance to say, all right, everybody, is that one woman and two little children in there? Operations off. What they saw is a whole group of people coming at them and throwing stuff. Now, the most humane thing to do is shoot tear gas into the audience and make them disperse without having to use lethal force. Would you rather them open fire on them, Geraldo? I mean, last I checked, tear gas is used on Americans as well. Now, according to some of the pundits in the liberal media, they tried to say this is like using chemical warfare on these people. Really? Then that same chemical warfare is used on brothers that fight and don't want to disperse, white people who fight and don't want to disperse, American citizens who fight and don't want to disperse. Yeah. So are they using chemical weapons on American citizens, but the illegal immigrants are too gentle and tender and too wholesome? They're too wholesome to be used, to use tear gas on. Let's see what else Geraldo have to say.
We arrested 42 people. 8 of them were women with children. We have to deal with this problem humanely and with compassion. These are not invaders. Stop using these military analogies. This is absolutely painful to watch.
You know what? It's guys like that that keep liberals in business. It's thoughts like this that keeps the liberal media in business. And they say, you know what, maybe it's working. Even though our ratings are dropping, but when we show this stuff and we throw out these arguments and we got people like Geraldo, that's falling for the okie doke, they think, you know what, maybe it's working. Yeah, I mean, smart people will see through it, but then we got those people who only see with their heart, and they're going to say, this is horrible. So here's Geraldo out here talking about we have to be more humane dealing with the situation. And so what else did he say about this whole situation? Let's see.
We have to deal with this problem humanely and with compassion. These are not invaders. Stop using these military analogies.
So then instead of using terms that fit the situation, you want us to use soft terms, Geraldo? Like illegal immigrants aren't illegal immigrants. They're just undocumented citizens. Things like that. You want us to use the softball terms and see if you don't identify what a problem is, you'll never address it. See, if I'm just a casual drinker that drinks all the time, all day, and can't get anything done, I'm not a casual drinker. I'm an alcoholic. But as long as I keep saying I'm a casual drinker, then I will never get help. I'll never come to the realization that I got a problem. Okay, so yeah, sure, you want to use softball terms. These aren't invaders, even though all their behavior is very invader-ish. I'm just saying, last I checked, running up a hill and trying to jump over a fence doesn't mean that you're playing Marco Polo. It doesn't mean you're playing freeze tag. It looks like you're trying to invade our country. I'm just saying, Geraldo. So what are you talking about? Humane is shooting tear gas versus using lethal force.
This is absolutely painful to watch. We are a nation of immigrants. These are desperate people. They walk 2,000 miles.
Here it comes. Here it comes. Painful to watch. These are desperate people who walk 2,000 miles. Just that very statement alone lets you know that this is garbage. Because guess what? Desperate doesn't mean suicidal. So you're telling me, Geraldo, that these people walked 2,000 miles with no promises or guarantees of resources along the way, no promises and guarantees of getting into America. Basically, you're telling me, Geraldo, that these people were so desperate, they said, let's commit suicide by walking out with nothing to supply our needs. So we'd rather walk out and die in the middle of a journey versus stay in Honduras and just work things out. Unless somebody was behind this. And Geraldo, for whatever reason, that going right over his head. It's going right over his head. Just that statement alone should let Geraldo know that there's something fishy going on. But he don't smell it. Big fat fish right up under his nose, just flapping. And he's like, you smell something? I don't smell nothing. He don't even smell the fish, okay? And so now he goes back to the default statement. We all are, we're immigrants. Well, you know what? My thought is this. You can be an immigrant and you can be an illegal immigrant. Now, even the ones that were not born here in America but are legal, they're legal immigrants, Geraldo. The ones that are born here are no longer immigrants. We're citizens. We were born here, okay? Back in the day, before the Constitution, and when people were still settling in here and they were, coming up with the United States and piecing it all together, everything was in disarray. But once we established ourselves as a sovereign nation and put immigration laws in place, I thought that allows us to determine who comes in and out of our country. I mean, maybe it's just me. Or should we just go ahead and say, forget it? Let down all the walls, restrict, you know what? No restrictions. If Russians want to invade that border, let them come, because we don't have borders. If Iranians, if anybody wants to just come flying across the border, just let them come, because we're a nation of immigrants. Stupid stuff like that.
Why? Because they want to rape your daughter or steal your lunch? No, because they want a job. They want to fill the millions of unfilled jobs we have in the agricultural sector. They want to wash dishes in the restaurants. They want to deliver the pizzas. For goodness sake.
So what Geraldo is saying is they want to come over here, not because of asylum. Okay, first things first, let me address this whole statement. They're not coming over to rape your children. Maybe the majority isn't. But what about the ones that do? I mean, how do you tell an American citizen that, sorry, out of that 5,000, the 10 bad ones ended up killing one of your family members or raping one of your daughters? Sorry about that. But look at the bright side. The majority of them are nice, working, hardworking citizens that just want a better life. Sorry, you happen to be the victim of the 10 that aren't, that shouldn't have even been over here. And if we'd have implemented and reinforced the law, your family member wouldn't have got raped. They wouldn't have got killed. My bad. How do you even tell them that? But secondly, what he's really saying is that, yes, it is a falsehood that they're coming over here for asylum. What they're really coming over here for is jobs. Yeah, and you know what? It's almost insulting, because they're coming over because they want to deliver your pizzas. They want to cut your grass. They want to wash your pools. They want to just be one step above slavery. Because, see, the labor that we're going to pay them, the cheap labor, the money that we're going to pay them is just enough to say that they're not slaves. So now what this is going to do is going to benefit all the elites and all these companies and stuff. And we're going to go ahead and throw it out there. These people don't want real jobs. We're not going to give them the type of money and success that maybe in their mind they're dreaming of having. We just assume they want to come over here and live the lower life. In their minds, they don't have dreams of becoming rich and famous and powerful. Their dreams is just to wash your pool. That's all they want. Hey, can I come all the way 2,000 miles to pick grapes? Can I come, 2,000 miles to sweep and wash pools? I think that's almost offensive. If I was somebody from Honduras, I'd say, maybe I want to come here and take your job, Geraldo. I'm pretty intelligent too. I could do more than just sweep and do pool work. Man. Let's see what else Geraldo got to say before I wrap this up.
Can't we suspend our humanity when it comes to this issue? And I fear that it is because they look different than the...
Here we go. So now, here's the thing. It's not that we're looking at this practically, logically, economically, sensibly, No, what he's saying is we suspend our humanity. So now it's something morally wrong with us because we're using common sense. It's something morally wrong with us because we see that there's something bigger driving this huge sum of illegal immigrants that assume that they can just come right into our country with no consequences. And because we're handling it like a sovereign nation, we're not real humans. We're walking around like just Frankenstein. I guess we all suffer from antisocial disorder. Maybe we're all sociopaths because we don't feel. Yeah, see, we're supposed to let our feelings drive our immigration policies, even if it puts American people in danger, even if it makes no sense and put a strain on our economy, even if corrupt people are using it to manipulate not only us, but the people from Honduras. Even if you got drug cartels making billions of dollars off of this industry, and they're using children and women as shields and using children as reasons to come in and get amnesty, citizenship and all that. We got a kid. He ain't mine, but still, he's a kid. Let us in. All of this stuff that comes from illegal immigration that could be solved if we changed the immigration laws and built a wall, and yet Geraldo's blaming us. See, it's not the fact that these people chose to come here and knew the possible dangers and consequences. No, it's not their fault. It's something greater than them. They're not responsible for their own behavior. Geraldo News, they are the sum choices. They're the sum total of their own choices. I'm sorry to tell you that. Now, I also feel bad for them because somebody gave them the okie doke. Somebody gave them some false hope and false promises. And somebody encouraged them through media manipulation and the Democrats not taking a strong enough stance on illegal immigration, and people watching this on the news and hearing them defend this type of stuff say, you know what, we got allies in America that supports this, not to mention the people who's helped funding us to get there. But yet Geraldo's blaming us for suspending our humanity. And then he drops the final one. I can't help but think it's because these are people of color, not because they're illegal immigrants, not because they're coming here and violating our immigration laws. That's not the point. It's solely because they're people of color. I cannot believe he succumbed to that. That's the oldest one in the book. That's Democrat identity politics 101. Let's go ahead and just say all of your decisions are motivated by race. Geraldo, you're better than that, I thought. So anyway, that's my thought on it. You've been listening to Kevin in Kevin's Corner. I couldn't let Geraldo get away with that one, y'all. I had to go ahead and express how ridiculous he sound with that type of garbage and rhetoric and those type of emotions. But those are the type of people that the Democratic Party rely on. They go, it's a sucker out there that's listening to our garbage every second. So keep it coming. Okay. Now, you've been listening to Kevin from Kevin's Corner. I'm being interrupted by my old man who I told I was going to make a video. See, he hiding over there, y'all. I told y'all about Teddy. We kind of like Lamont and Sanford, Yeah, he'd be like, hey, Lamont, here come the big one. Yeah, we go at it all the time. I love him to death. I'm trying to convert him over to conservatism, but he's stuck in his ways. Anyway, so find me on Facebook. Check me out on Twitter And also, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And check out Extreme Teas. They're my sponsor. Okay. The link is in the bottom. They're holding some Christmas specials, y'all. They got that free shipping. Type in my name in the promotional section. They ask for a promotional code. Just type in Kevin, and it might do something for you. You might get some discounts, might get some free shipping. Who knows? But check it out. Extreme Teas. The link is in the bottom. Also, if you want to donate to Kevin's Corner, feel free. The link is in the bottom as well. And we're going to continue to follow this this whole illegal immigration, the imaginary caravan that's invading our country. Yeah, the imaginary one. Yeah, so we're going to continue to follow it and see what happens. I'm sure tomorrow the media is going to wake up and say, you all were dreaming. None of that happened over the weekend. Follow the clock. That's what they're going to say. And then you're going to have liberals going, yes, we were dreaming. Blows my mind. Makes no sense. But you know my motto, can't make sense out of nonsense. God bless you. See you next time in Kevin's Corner.